Hello, my name is Sonia. I'm from Sockeye Consulting. Today we are going to review how to set up purchasing approval workflows and how you can have your managers review and approve transactions. Sage Intact's purchasing approvals will implement your organization's internal approval process within the software, helping to ensure that expenditures are authorized and correct. Setting up and managing purchasing approvals in Sage Intacct is flexible. You decide which purchasing transactions require approval, who needs to approve, the sequence of approval, and whether any approvals are based on transaction amount. Approval policies are the core piece of your purchasing approvals because they define your approval process for your transaction definition. You can get there by going to Purchasing, Setup, and selecting Approval Policies. When you go to Add, you can route the transaction definition to specific people or to people in specific roles or to people based on transaction amount. You can also route approvals using a combination of these approaches. This is exactly why it shows you multiple lines because you can add multiple rule types for the one transaction definition. For example, in a smaller organization, you might want to route your purchase requisitions first to the employee's manager and then to a specific person in the finance department. In a larger organization where it's more segregation of duties and decision making are more decentralized, you might always want to route purchase requisitions first to an employee manager and then have then have approvals proceed to users based on purchase amount. The rule type can fall into three categories: a specific user, which is going to be a named user, as you can see here. You can have a manager of a specific role, the manager of the employee, the department manager, or a location manager, or even a project manager. And of course, you can always have a combination. So for purchase orders, depending on the first rule type that is selected, it will route to that person. So if all purchase orders first need to be approved by the department manager, there are two types of department approvals. The manager of the department in which the employee is submitting the transaction is assigned to, or the manager of the transaction department. So I could be working in finance, but my purchase order is for sales. So if I select transaction department approval, my transaction will go to sales instead of finance. My next rule, after my department manager has approved it, not the transactions department, but my department manager has approved it, I'd like for it to go to the project manager. However, if you need to set up approvals based on value, you can do so by selecting value approval and manage the rule. So there are six levels of approval. I know there's more listed here, but within your permissions in the user, you will see six levels. You can select the value of the first approver, and you can even list out how many users need to go in and approve it. And then for the second level, you can list it out however much you need to. And then for level 3, if you leave this value to blank, um, anything over 25,000 will be listed here. For department managers, you want to make sure that each of your departments has a manager selected. If you're doing it based off of the employee manager, you're going to want to make sure a manager is selected on the employee card. If you are doing it based off of the transaction location manager, you're going to want to make sure every location has a manager selected. So if I view one of these, you have this manager field that you can assign a manager to. And then for project managers, on each project card on the first tab, you will see project manager and you can tag a user. Everyone, of course, needs a break from the office, so you could actually use approval delegation to ensure that transactions that are submitted for approval keep moving through the approval process, even if the approver is away. When your organization uses approval delegation, approvers can delegate their approval responsibilities to someone else if they are unavailable for any reason. Turning on and off the approval delegation gives approvers the opportunity to set themselves out of office for purchasing approvals. And while the approver has an out of office set in their user preference, Sage Intacct will automatically reroute the new approval request to their assigned delegate. You can see that all of these users have an assigned delegate, which is purchasing, setup, configuration. If you are ever on the screen and you need any sort of assistance, please reach out to Sockeye so we can make sure that any changes you are making do not mess up your current settings. Um, but you do have this manage delegates here. You could always turn it off, and you can always have an unrestricted user to approve all of your purchasing transactions. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope this video helps. And I really hope that you utilize the purchasing approvals within Sage Intacct to implement your organization's internal approval processes within the software instead of outside.